For Palette, the promise is that we're going to advance you in business and in life. What happens after is like anyone's guess, because it's like when you bring these people together, they're all aligned with ambitious goals and they want to be of service, they want to help each other, and really incredible happens. And it's not even anything that I could have foreseen. Welcome to Seriously Catherine, a podcast about taking your business seriously, but not yourself. Are you ready for this hot take? It revolves around the thing that is all the buzz right now is Harrison Butker. He is the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm seeing so many I'm just seeing so much content around this guy. Like, it just goes to show I have a very diverse audience on social media. First of all, he said some things. He said some things that got people in a tizzy about a woman's place and whether it should be in the home, whether it should be working. And so I have a couple of things. I am not so offended by what he said about how like a woman, like the most she'll ever be in life or accomplish in life is to be a mother or a homemaker. I think he said homemaker. So that's like a very triggering word to say to a woman, like who doesn't want to just be known as a homemaker. But there are women, people that I know, people that I admire and love who take that role very seriously. It's all they've ever wanted to do, and they're killing it, and they're like happy and they're fulfilled, and that's amazing. I love that about them. So there's a couple of things so wrong with this is like, first of all, I didn't read the whole commencement speech, okay? So he was the commencement speech at a Christian college. And he addressed the women in the audience and sort of acknowledged, like, you should be proud of yourself of all that you've accomplished up until this point. But to most of the women in the crowd, I'm willing to bet that I can't even say exactly what he said, but he alluded to they haven't done shit yet because they haven't become mothers and homemakers. So I just think like he could probably use some media training, and maybe he could use somebody working with him on his personal brand and like communicating what he really meant, because I almost feel like he was trying to just acknowledge his wife and the mother of his children as like, thank you so much for all that you have done to help me be my best version of a kickballer. I'm not going to knock on the guy because I really just think that he missed the mark, and he maybe didn't ask anybody to listen to his speech before he said it. But with that point, I don't think he's come out and apologized for anything, because he doesn't actually believe he should. He's not sorry for what he said. He stands by it. I read somewhere that his jersey is like on that particular day or shortly after was like the #1 selling jersey in the NFL. So it just goes to show you, maybe he does know his audience. Maybe he knows exactly who he's speaking to. I'm seeing a lot of like feedback on social media, people who are actually defending what he said and people who want to burn him at the stake. I, in a lot of ways, had not recognized my power or my influence on the world until I became a mother. And that was a huge turning point for me when I became a mom. I really started to get my shit together. I really started to think about how I could be a great role model for them. And so the problem here is that he's a dude. He kicks balls for a living. He makes a shit ton of money doing that. And he has the privilege of having his wife at home on the home front to support him. And there's a lot of things that I'm sure he doesn't even have to think about, right? Most people do need both parents in the workforce to pay for the bare necessities. So I don't want it to come across like I'm taking up for the guy. I think he got a lot of things wrong. Like the way that he delivered the speech was very judgmental and accusatory and assuming a lot of what his female audience might be thinking. In closing, I would just like everyone to listen to the full speech and with an open mind and just like take stock that like this guy did hit a chord. It resonated with some people. He got a standing ovation. As alarmed and triggered as you might be, there's this like other side that is rallying around this guy. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, I'm so excited you're here.
I know.
I'm like the host interviewing the reporter. It's weird.
You know, and I probably am going to be weird because I'm not used to being the person who is getting asked questions.
Yeah, how does it feel to be on the other side of things?
I don't know. Like, I'm much more comfortable asking the questions. It's okay. It's fine. We'll see. But people don't really do this with me that much. So,
Wow, I'm lucky. I got you in the hot seat.
ask the crazy stuff.
Okay, so if you don't know, now you know. This is Noel McLaren, former reporter,
Yeah.
News 10.
Yeah, News 10 ABC.
Have you ever met Ellen? She was on ABC.
Ellen? Well, here's the thing that people don't understand. News in itself, like local news, is actually owned by other companies, like outside of ABC, Fox. Like, that's just our affiliate. Like, Ellen is on, ABC networks, or is it syndicated? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is it's actually owned by Nexstar Broadcasting. So, and Nexstar can own ABC affiliates, Fox affiliates, CBS affiliates. So even though News 10 ABC is ABC, it's on ABC's network.
Got it.
But it's really just local news.
Got it. But you're not doing that anymore.
No. I mean, once a reporter, kind of always a reporter. I always have that curiosity. This all started out with like me trying to parent and be a mom. I was like, I never wanted to be the person that left my career. I never thought that I would be somebody who took a career pause. And then I held my first little baby boy and I was like, oh, this is going to be a hard one.
Yeah.
And this was pre-pandemic, so a little bit different, my first son, Mac. And I had him, and he was just my world. And in a career like news, it's just very nonstop, not set, predictable hours. So, just because your shift is technically from 9 to 5, you're live at 5 o'clock in the Catskills, and I still have to drive home. How far away is the Catskills? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
So, and then the next day I could be live in Saratoga, so I could be home in 5 minutes. But that was very, very hard to say, oh, let's get you in this childcare program, or to even my mom to watch him or somebody. I don't know when I'm going to be home. It depends on the day. It depends on the coverage. News is news for a reason. You can't plan it. It's unpredictable. And that's very hard to balance with motherhood. And for all of the news anchors and reporters who are still in it and trying to balance that life, oh my gosh, I commend you, because it's very challenging, very, very challenging. So anyway, I took a pause, which was very hard for me to do. I actually have a video of myself. I don't know if I've ever shared this with anyone. Behind the anchor desk, just recording myself. It was like a message to Mac, my oldest son, saying, I'm doing this because I love you, Mac, and this is really hard for me, but it's important for me to be here for you and for this to be my priority right now. And so I took a step back, stayed home with him, and said to myself, in time, I'll get back and other things will be a priority. And I think people, especially career-driven women, are scared to take that pause in career sometimes. And even still now, it's hard for me. But if people ask me generally what I am primarily, I'm a stay-at-home mom right now, but I am also a media coach, and I have taken all of my experience in reporting and in being on camera, which didn't actually come naturally to me initially, and now I'm teaching other people in this environment where people are learning that they have to harness the power of video for their businesses, no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching them how to do that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, media coaching, on camera, confidence on camera coaching. I'm doing classes at Palette,
Yes.
which has been amazing. That's kind of how this started. I said, let's get my name out there. I have a few private clients and hoping to expand that a little bit while also podcasting here at Bright-Sided. We're launching Selling Saratoga in May, which is all about real estate. So just dipping my toe back in the water in getting back to work, doing more than just being a mom, and getting back to me feels like really, really good.
Yeah, and it's on your own terms, right?
That's what's great, is it's on my own terms. And I feel like as women, when you can find that balance, that's the sweet spot. It's so hard to, and I feel like hopefully the landscape is changing a little bit. I mean, people like you have helped make that possible with co-working spaces, so thank you. And I feel like working with other women too, we get it. So that's why I love working with other women, because this is our village, right? You know, that's how people used to do it, is you watch my kid while I work, I watch yours, you scratch your back, I scratch mine. I mean, that's what's great about this.
And that's sort of what happens, right? When you bring women together, you know, for Palette, the promise is that we're going to advance you in business and in life. What happens after is like anyone's guess, because it's like when you bring these people together, they're all aligned with ambitious goals and they want to be of service. They want to help each other, and really incredible shit happens. And it's not even anything that I could have like foreseen. You know, I had this like hunch that like, man, how cool would it be to just have other people who are as, you know, audaciously ambitious as I am, who want to excel in all the things that they're doing, or at least be improving. Like, what would happen if we got all those people together and gave them a place where they felt a sense of belonging and ownership and inclusion, and like what might happen? And it's just so freaking cool to see everything that has happened, such as like people getting married, having babies, getting divorced, buying houses, right? And then on the other part of that, it's like starting business, buying business, going off on your own, merging with other, you know, businesses, like getting increase in salaries. Like those are all wins that we get to celebrate together now, because we're all in on it.
You're like the female friend matchmaker, because I feel like, you know, you come in here just to find a place to work outside of home, or maybe to collaborate or to meet other people, but you never know what you're going to get. And I feel like that's what's kind of cool, is you see the similarities in people. You knew that Christine, the owner of Bright-Sided Podcasting, and I were both former news anchors and reporters, and like that we would hit it off. We were like-minded people. Our kids are around the same age, and you just knew. Like that's a skill in itself. And so that's really special. And now Christine and I are good friends, collaborators, and look at all of those types of relationships that you've created. That's got to feel really cool. Look at me, I'm interviewing you now.
It's so much fun. Yeah, no, I mean, it's fun to sort of like have a place for all those people to conspire with. What I remember about you is that I remember thinking like, what is she waiting for? Why is she not joining yet? Like, she wants to do this media coaching thing. I mean, that was the premise of you joining, right? To leverage the Palette, you know, brand and marketing, exposure, media sort of amenities.
Have a place to host my class. Yeah.
Yes. And so that was sort of like you're in.
Yeah.
But then what came of that? It's like, I don't have a crystal ball. I couldn't have said, oh, for sure. Like, I don't have this like mastermind plan scheme. Marcella might, but I don't have that skill. And it's so powerful to have a person that you like, know, trust, connect you with another person. What
I love about Palette is like I don't know if we should call it the Me Too moment, because that already has a movement, but oh, you get it too. That's what I love about Palette, is the, oh, you get it too moment.
Well,
you have kids too, who sometimes you just got to work at the same time as parenting. And it's like, here's an iPad, here's a coloring book. And you feel just like you're not alone, and you're not weird, and you're not somebody in outer space. Like, this is very real. Other women have the same problems and experience the same things. This is Ace. This is my second guy.
Like, a lot of the times, women want to pretend like they got it all together.
They got all their shit together.
And I just own that I do not have it together. I do not know what I'm doing. I'm doing my best. I'm surrounding myself with people who want to help me do my best.
Well, and it's like when one woman does that for you, you want to do it for them. That's kind of like the cool part. Is like, okay, like I said, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And so, like, because you helped me meet Christine and make this whole experience possible with podcasting and with getting my class out there, you were like, oh, like, want to come on my show? I'm like, of course I do, because you made so much happen.
When you came to us and said, you know, you got this idea about this, like, being camera ready and training people to be camera ready. And you were like, well, I do think that there was a sense of, like, fear of, like, what if no one shows up?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we helped you work through that and sort of acknowledge, like, it's okay if 3 people show up. It's okay if 4 people showed up. There's 4 people who paid you to have your time, and then you can constantly be taking that content and tweaking it and relaunching it, and it's okay to you have different iterations. And I think, like, getting you just to put yourself out there in a way that's much different than what you've been doing for your career. It's a huge, huge like thing, and you're doing it now.
Thank you. And thank you for like complimenting on that, because I think it is. I think it's hard for all of us to try new things. And it's funny because my older son, I'm constantly like, when he's confident in something, Mac, like he just goes crazy. He goes like at 150%. But when he's trying something new, he like doesn't want to. He doesn't want to try something new. And I'm always like, Mac, just get over it. Do it. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm the same exact way. I struggle with trying new things if it's outside my comfort zone. And sometimes it's nice to have that extra push, whether it's from other palette members or other women in your circle, to just let you know, you're going to be okay. We got you. And if you do fall, we'll help you pick back up.
Yeah. Another thing that I think comes up a lot of the times at Palette is it's like our members want to be in that arena. They want to be doing the thing, but they think that doing the thing, it has to be perfect, or it has to be like a finalized version of everything. And so at Palette, we really help everyone like just show up as you are right now. And then what's really fascinating and really exciting and rewarding to me is like being able to look back and say, oh my God, when you first started, you were just going to do the camera ready stuff. You were just going to do the confidence on camera courses at Palette. And now look what you're doing. Like, had I told you in advance, like, listen, you're going to join Palette, you're going to start your own podcast, you're going to collaborate, you're going to find people to help you with all aspects of your life, you're going to get the support you need, you're going to have fun doing it, you would have been so freaking overwhelmed. Like, you know, it's like we got to start with these baby steps. And for me, that can be frustrating because I don't want to start with a baby step. I want to start with like a big step, right? I want to go big, like right off the bat, and then follow my face and then figure it out. Sort of like that's my strategy. But most people want to dip their toe in and they want to try it out. And even dipping their toe in, it's hard.
I'm scared of failure. And I think we all are scared of failure. I don't like, especially for me, I think my failures have always been very public, maybe because they have been on camera. And I used to shy away from that and say, oh gosh, I'm not going to do that again. And I think once I got off camera and I was just with my kids, hey, like if you make a mistake with your kid at home, nobody sees that, right? But like if I mess up somebody's name or a fact on television or I flub my words, that's out there for everybody to see, especially like, I mean, it lives forever. So I think that's part of the psychology of why I've been scared of failure and something you've helped me get past and get over. And that's why Palette's been so great is, you know, you get that assistance, you get that extra push. But I mean, it's so funny. I feel like most people are, when it comes to being on camera, scared for that reason. Like they know it's just gonna live there for a long time. But what's interesting is as I did it more and more and longer, I feel like people like you more when they see that you're open with your mistakes and with your errors. You become more lovable and more relatable. And that's something, by the way, that I teach in my class or in my coaching is just be the sloppiest version of yourself, however it comes out that day, because you are your biggest critic. People are forgiving, even if you mess up a word or you flub something or you you have a hair sticking up and you catch it in the mirror. You'd be like, oh my gosh, did I brush my hair today? Or it just makes you more like everybody else. We all are messy and we all have different things going on in our lives that are out of our control, even though we want to be in control. We want that crystal ball you were talking about. We want to know what the next steps are. But in reality, none of us do. So just kind of like lean into it. I got good at doing that on camera. I need to get good at doing that in life.
Well, listen, the other part that I remind people is like people are so distracted and so overwhelmed with like everything, right? So if you do screw up or, you know, have egg on your face, it's like the next moment there's something else going on. There's some other person that's making a fool out of herself and that's who they're paying attention to now. Right. So it's like everything blows over and you're just, I mean, this is something that Marcella and I definitely have in common. Like our parents both told us both that like no one's paying attention to you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's other shit going on. Like if you think everyone's walking around worried about what you're doing, that's just not reality. And
Yeah.
it's so true. I don't think it has helped me. Like, if I do, like, I actually have a story. This is like a couple weeks ago. Mark and I just bought this house.
I know. I
and
can't wait to hear more.
I know.
about
I
this.
can't wait to show you the space.
Yeah.
Mark had parallel parked, but it was right after that sloppy snowstorm. And I had like a pair of wide leg pants and boots on. And I literally, so Mark
sloshing through it.
he like parallel parked but left a gap for me to get out and then go run behind the car so he could straighten out. And then anyway, I fell like in the middle of a red light. Like I fell in between these two cars, like the back of his car and the car that was parked right there. But across the street, all these line of cars were at the red light. Every single one of them saw me fall on my face because my heel got hooked in the pants.
Oh no.
And I fell like on my face. So I literally, the whole left side of my body was like sloshy, muddy snow. Not only that, but I like jumped right back up and I like waved to everyone. I was like, like thumbs up, I made it.
And everyone probably like clapped and was like, woo!
Their face was just mortified. They were more like, oh my God.
Embarrassed for you?
Because I fell hard. And then Mark retells the story because he was in the driver's seat looking in the rearview mirror and he's like, I just saw you like fall out of view. Anyway, like we all fall on our faces. And I think immediately our initial reaction is like to be embarrassed or to feel bad for the person who fell. And I'm like, I laughed at myself. I mean, it was hilarious. This is the sort of shit that happens to me all the time. I fall on my face all the time. And
I think learning to laugh at yourself is probably one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself in your life. If you can learn to laugh at yourself, whether it's on camera, on the street when you fall over, if you can learn to like just make fun of your mistakes, which again, in the moment can be really challenging because you feel it deeply, you're embarrassed, you're all these things. But if you can also have a sense of humor and say, in the long run, like, what's the saying? It's like, if this is not going to matter in like a few months or in a few years, then try to not make it matter so much right now. You can laugh it off. Is it going to be a good story one day? Hey, it might be.
Well, I mean, I think that was a good story.
That's a great story.
I think it's a good story. Like everyone that was in the red light and saw me bust my ass was probably like went home and told their family.
Had a show.
Like, oh my God, you'll never believe we saw this woman. And she was clearly running somewhere like she had somewhere to be wiped out, busted her face. It was hilarious. And this is the other thing too. Like I've experienced bullying and mean girls and all that BS growing up. And I think I've learned now, like, if I can insult myself before anybody else can, right?
Ooh,
like,
then you win.
So then when they do insult me, I'm like, listen, I've been insulting myself in my head this whole time.
I like that.
It's like this self-deprecating thing that can be quite valuable in the grand scheme of things. So I want to like go back to your decision. Like something just struck me when you were talking. It's like nothing can really prepare you. Like as much as you want to like stay in the career and be a mom and have family and all that sort of stuff. It's like nothing can really prepare you for how you are going to feel when you hold that baby and you're like, you know what, I can actually leave that job because I'm not leaving this kid. So talk us through that decision and like maybe, I'm not putting words in your head, but a lot of times people may feel like some shame, like, or they couldn't hack it. And I just want to dispel that myth because it's like really nothing can prepare you for becoming a mom and how it's going to impact you. And then also it all feel like all these other things fall into place, right? Where it's like, were you able to have this family easily, right? Or was it a real challenge to come across that finish line? So all these things kind of like wrapped up in that experience. Right. So I've always wanted to be a mom. For me, I've always wanted to have a family. I always wanted to really sort of like demonstrate how I could make a happy family and I could create like a happy lifestyle for myself and for my kids. And I just like, I've always in my head as a little girl, like playing dolls and playing house, like always wanted to have the family. And the career piece and the business owner piece or any of that stuff sort of came after, sort of like, oh, well, I could do this too. That's cool. And then it came to like, okay, how can I do this together? So I feel like I backed into it. But a lot of people, they start with the career, then the babies come, and then they're like, oh my God, I have to choose a lane.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely felt like in different careers, maybe I wouldn't have had to choose a lane. In the career that I chose, that was really just like also a labor of love. Like I loved what I do. It was a passion. I not only got paid financially, but just in my absolute love for talking to and meeting new people and telling their stories. And I loved it. And I traveled all over the country to do this. And I worked so hard to get it, getting an on-camera reporter position. You go to a small market. It's kind of like your grad school. A lot of the times it's the middle of nowhere. For me, it was Marquette, Michigan, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And I was like, really? I have to go 2 plane rides away from my family that I'm very close with. And I'm an only child. So that probably adds into the significance of being around for my kids and family and creating that unit. But anyway, I digress. Went to the middle of nowhere, basically took a chance and went and loved Marquette, Michigan, ended up falling in love with this small city, making a great group of friends there, and dedicated 2 years to that town. Then you get skilled and you make your mistakes where not as many people are watching you. I had an incredible news director who used to work for CNN there, though. I got very lucky. He thought he was going to retire in the Upper Peninsula, and instead he just wanted to teach, and being a news director in a small market's kind of like teaching. So he was my news director. He coached me, and I got to move up to a much bigger mid-sized market in Jacksonville, Florida, which was such a cool, fun town to report in. Made a lot of lifelong friends there. I was there for 2 years. Then I went back home because I was homesick. I wanted to go home to my family, and I said, I don't care where I land. I just want to be a car ride away from my family.
And you from here?
I'm from Rockland County, New York. So near the Tappan Zee Bridge. I went to Tappan Zee High School. But I just wanted to be a car ride away, because I think what was hard is when you're in news, you're working a lot of holidays, you're working a lot of weekends, you're working a lot of like off hours. And so, if you do that, but like you're in the same city as your family, like, okay, maybe you miss Christmas morning, but you're home for Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I was like, I couldn't fly home and be home for part of the holiday.
Yeah.
So that was hard. And I really struggled with that. And I said, well, if I'm going to maintain this career, then I really need to move closer to home. And what's hard is the Northeast is one of the hardest markets to break into in news, because a lot of people want to be there. New York City is market number 1. Philadelphia is 4. And I landed in Philadelphia at CBS there, and was there for a little while. And then I did all the News 12 networks, which is kind of a hyper-local station in Connecticut, Westchester, and Long Island. The weekend anchor gig opened up here at News 10 in Albany, and my family had a summer place up in Saratoga, and we had been coming here forever. And my husband and I were like, oh my gosh, like, why would we not want to live where we always come for fun and for relaxation and for just, why would we not want to move to the place that makes us feel good all the time?
Yeah, and his job was
He's
flexible?
remote. He's always been remote. So it's nice that even pre-COVID, he was able to kind of go everywhere. So I interviewed, got the weekend anchor job, and I was looking to transition from reporting in the field to anchoring. It's a more coveted job, higher pay. So I did that. And basically, so this is over the span of like 10 years, maybe a little less than 10 years. And I just was a career addict. I was a workaholic, and because I loved it, it got to a point where it was, okay, you can make this your priority and you can continue doing this, but your kid is going to not see you very often. And any promotion I got, I don't think people realize, like, the best times to work as a news anchor, or the highest paychecks are either morning news anchor. So you are getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Maybe you're missing a lot of the evenings with your kids because you have to go to bed, or you're tired all the time. Or you're missing dinner with your family because your shift is then, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 11:30 or midnight. And so I was thinking about, like, when I got pregnant and I knew we were starting a family, I was like, oh gosh, how am I going to make this work? I don't know, we'll make it work. And I always thought I would make it work because I loved that career so much. When there's a will, there's a way. My mom was going to watch him. I was a weekend anchor, right? So it was just 2 days a week on the weekend where, my husband could take the boys, or the boy at that time. And then during the week, I just had to find 3 days a week, my mom or childcare.
Yeah.
I held this little boy in my arms, and I was like, ooh, I don't know how I'm going to leave you. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I couldn't. I really just couldn't. And I realized that a good chunk of my paycheck was going to go to daycare.
Yeah.
And I was like, if that's how it's going to be anyway, I'd rather be home and watch you grow and be the one raising you anyway. And that's what worked for me at the time. I was an only child, and I always wanted more family. I was always looking for more family. And so I finally had this. Having my son was kind of like this rude awakening of, you can slow down. it's okay, which is funny because life is not slower as a mother at all, but you can take a pause. You can still be the career woman that you are and be a mom. And that doesn't have to be at the same time. That doesn't have to be linear. And I remember I can take this break and then in a few years start back up, which is what my plan kind of is. And now I'm starting back up while they're little. But the thing that was hardest for me was not the actual stopping of being a news anchor or reporter. I'm actually amazed at how clear that became to me when I held my baby. It was more the perception of other people looking at me saying, you worked so hard for this and you're just giving it all up. I can't tell you how many women I felt like I was disappointing, or other people I felt like I was disappointing because I was giving up this dream that I had, like I said, moved all over the country for and invested close to 10 years in. I had a lot of guilt about that. My parents, who really helped me pave the way. They paid for part of my education, and here I am. I'm just going to stay home and be a mom for a little bit. I don't know. So I struggled with that a lot with my first. And I think it's also hard because you get cornered into these, what do you want to call them, categories as moms? Like, are you a working mom or are you a stay-at-home mom? And I never saw myself as a stay-at-home mom type. I saw myself as a career-oriented go-getter. It just suddenly melted away its significance. It just wasn't in that moment what was important to me, being their everything. And I had to convince myself that that was okay and that's what worked for me. For other women, it might not. And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think it's so hard as women that you can have both sometimes. And I feel like times are changing.
I had a totally different experience. I felt strongly like I needed to carry on the business front of things, even though I had kids. And I take this sort of perspective of these kids joined my life. So they're going to have to just fall in line and either come along with me, and anyone around me on the career side or the business side is going to have to deal with my kids. And if they have a problem with it, well, then I don't have to do business with them.
Yeah, but I love that you are like that. And I feel like hopefully maybe people like you are changing the landscape. Like you and I are in the middle of recording a podcast and we kind of planned this off the cuff. And so I have Ace today and he's not in preschool today. So I had to bring him. And he sat here for most of the time, outside, hanging out, watching his iPad. But also, sometimes he just wants his mom. And like you said, if you are surrounded by women or people who are okay with that and just realize, hey, this is normal. He's a toddler who wants his mom for a second. Yeah. And look, he's now doing his own thing.
Back in his chair, yeah.
But not everybody gets that, or maybe people are starting to get it, so it's great that, you can have both.
I think that if there are some people who are I'm sure there are people out there who are don't invite Catherine, she's always got a kid. But my point is that, this is my life. This is who I am. I've got babies. I've got kids. I got a husband. I got, my mom and my nanny Evelyn are coming into town next week, and I have a full schedule of stuff to do. They're coming along with me, and it's just I'm very transparent about all the things that I have going on, and I think that when you are more transparent and people are clearly aware of everything that's going on, they are more apt to be flexible. Mm-hmm. They're willing to work with you. And I don't know, it's just I don't want to work with people who don't see the full picture, right? How much stress is that to have to show up in life as a different version of yourself depending on who you're meeting with? That's that sucks.
That's really true. I never thought of it that way. And that's also a very good point. That's exactly what I've done is I've only taken on work with people now when it comes to my media coaching or when it comes to podcasting, hey, this is my life right now. This is just where my priorities lie. And sometimes I'm going to have a kid with me and you can take it or leave it. Most people take it because they believe in me or trust in me. I think that's really empowering and really cool that you can have both. Yeah. It sometimes is going to be a little overwhelming and it's going to be a lot. I'm sitting in this chair sweating because I've been going back and forth. But that's what we're really good at as women, multitasking and getting things done, even when it's hard. I thrive under pressure, and I think a lot of us women do.
Okay, this is another piece of it too, is that I am not an expert in parenting.
No.
So I don't know always even know what I'm doing. And sometimes the thought of taking all 3 of my kids to an event or so that I don't miss out on something is so stressful. And like, you know, this is not going to be fun for anybody. And we stay our asses home and it's fine. It's just, you know, I don't know, not having kids was never an option for me. If I couldn't have kids myself, I would have adopted. I may still adopt. I like want to have a big family. I always want to be surrounded by, you know, chaos. I think I thrive under chaos. Maybe most people are trying to like take things off of their plates. No, so they can live a more calm life.
I'm the same way.
I'm bored. I get bored, and then I get into trouble.
I think the best point that you kind of put out there, and some of the best advice I have gotten as just a woman in general in my 30s, is do what works for you and you alone, and go confidently in that direction. Because what works for you might not work for another woman, and what works for another woman might not work for you. And that comes to parenting. You know, whether you are somebody who sleep trains or doesn't sleep train, whether you're bottle feeding or breastfeeding, whether you're going to work full-time and put your child in daycare or work part-time or stay home. You have to do what works for you and your family to keep yourself happy. And I guess I'm seeing more, fortunately, women get behind that and be like, yeah, go you, whatever works for you. But I think initially the struggle was just feeling like our people, at least with my first baby, and trying to transition from, you know, career-driven to, you know, just staying home. What is the image of myself, and what are people going to think? And am I making the right decision? Who cares if I'm making the right decision from everybody else's perspective? What is working for me, and what is going to make me the most successful in my life as a media expert and as a mom?
Yeah, well, I have to push back on you. First of all, you got to stop saying you're just staying at home, because that shit is hard. And I don't just stay at home. I delegate a lot of that because I just don't even have the means to, or the capacity, and that's not my best use of time. So that's point one. And you're not just staying at home. You are producing a podcast and you're a coach, a media training coach. So it's not that you're just staying home. Also, this is a big thing for me too, is to surround myself with different types of ways of doing it, right? Yeah. Like I'm friends with stay-at-home moms. I'm friends with working moms. I'm friends with mompreneurs. I'm friends with people who don't have kids. Like I see all these different ways, and I'm constantly pulling pages from their playbooks to make my own way and trying new things, you know? But you're not just a mom.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better. I feel like it's really easy to minimize the work that you do, like, on yourself. Like, that's why when I see you, I just always want to, like, tell you how great you are and all the things you've done for me, because, like, I'm not good at giving myself credit for things. Like, to me, yeah, it's funny. Like, what do you do? The first thing that came out of my mouth is I'm just a mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But I'm not. I am a media coach, and
You're a media trainer.
I'm a media trainer, an on-camera coach, and a podcast producer.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the first thing that came out of my mouth. I'm not a show-off. Maybe because I was, like, on camera for so often, and, like, you have, like, people think, like, oh, people on TV think they are who they are. I'm like, no, I'm just a mom. I'm just a, you know. But, I mean, thank you. I guess thank you.
Yes. Well, I mean, and this is something that we do for each other at Palette, is we're constantly reminding each other that we're awesome and we're killing it and we're doing the best we can. And sometimes that means getting up in the morning. Other times it's putting that kid in his pajamas and getting him in the car and dropping his ass off at daycare. It's different for everybody.
It's okay for, like, right, you get payment in life in many different forms. You get paid in money, you get paid in love, you get paid in all these different forms of currency, right? And right now, my biggest payment is, like, the love and affection that I get from my children. And I know that they're going to become, like, teenage boys soon who probably want nothing to do with me. So I'm accepting that form of payment currently. And when I can, and I have the time and the ability, and it's going to get more and more to grow my business, yeah, I'm going to take the time to do that. I come from, like, a family of business owners. And so that's been, like, I think deep down I always wanted to start my own thing too, and that's why the voice in the back of my head when I was scared to let go of news said, you're going to be fine. You're going to do something else with this set of skills that you had. And that's just kind of been reawakened lately, and I'm really excited. And I think the unknown is exciting. I was really nervous to not have that outlet to talk to new people and help people through the art of storytelling. And I'm doing that now in being a podcast host and producer producer. And I'm doing that now and helping people communicate on camera how to tell their stories and get their business message or their personal message out to the world through video. Everything kind of evolves over time. Like there's different chapters of your life. And in this chapter, it's a little bit different. But yes, you have to kind of rediscover yourself in motherhood. And I've been able to do that slowly but surely.
Yeah, slowly but surely. So next up for you is this podcast that you've been working on for a while. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about it.
Me too.
It's all about real estate in Saratoga. Is it mostly commercial, residential, like buying and selling houses? What's the gist of it?
Selling Saratoga is a podcast all about all things home related and real estate in Saratoga Springs and a little bit in the surrounding area. It seems to be this hot spot for real estate in a real estate climate that really is kind of like in this lull right now.
But things are still hot in Saratoga.
Things are still hot in Saratoga. Saratoga was always in the spotlight because of the track. We're close to the Adirondacks. There's so much to do up here. It's like a little metropolis. I mean, you get the cultural aspect of city life without all of the big rat race that's involved in it and without the congestion. There really, truly is something for everyone. And I think that during COVID, when people were looking to get away for people or looking to have some more space, people would come up here for a day or two or for a weekend or just to work remotely because they could.
Yeah.
And they said, whoa, I don't ever want to leave. And that's what I did kind of with my family, not during COVID, but I came up here, fell in love with it. Why would we not build our lives here? If we can live in the place that brings us peace and where we love, why not? And a lot of people are learning to discover Saratoga Springs magic. My co-host, Helen Mastron, who is a local real estate agent, she was saying that the biggest problem in real estate in Saratoga and the surrounding areas, there's not enough inventory. A lot of people want to buy here, but there's not enough things on the market for people. So if you have a home and you're thinking about selling, put it on the market. Now's the time.
Yeah, are y'all talking about like the recent lawsuits and stuff that have been happening?
Oh,
will that come
we're
up?
going to talk about all that.
Okay.
We're going to talk about everything from short-term rentals. Our pilot episode is about short-term rentals and how the landscape for that is changing. New laws are in place. We're going to talk about design. We're going to talk about buying and selling. We're going to talk about DIY projects and how if you want to do something on your own, you can. We're going to talk to builders. We're going to talk to investors. We're going to talk to people from every corner of real estate and home ownership. You might have this question that you're scared to ask, but we'll ask the mortgage lender. We'll ask the realtor for you. We'll ask the designer for you. And maybe your question isn't so weird. Our guests are going to be experts from all different walks of life in local real estate.
So fun. I can't wait.
I know. I can't wait to hear more about your home. I'm hoping to bring you on as a guest on our show because can you tell me about this house?
Yeah. So first of all, I sort of like had a dog in every one of these fights. So we used to have a carriage house that we sold in July, thanks to Helen. Actually, she helped us sell that house. And so we did.
Helen.
Yep. So we did a short-term rental there. We were living in the house during COVID and we were about to kill each other. So, convinced Mark to move out into our rental house and then we rented. So we became the landlords of that. And then in July, sold it. And then to make ourselves more competitive to buy. So the house that we ended up buying, this is the fourth house that we put an offer on and the first house that we actually got under contract. And then it took 4 months to close on it because of the unique nature of this property. So,
tell me about the unique nature of this property. So can you not yet? Or can you?
No, I can. No, we own it finally. It's our house. And wow, the experience of going from like 4 months of trying to buy the house to then buying the house and then recognizing and just like the realization that this is a huge project that we have to renovate this house. We have to upgrade everything. It's going to be an experience. Like just like over the weekend, I told Mark, I'm like, this is so overwhelming. The amount of like work this house is going to be. We're really happy that this is the forever house. We don't intend on selling it. We are going to love it. But it's like, we just hope that we're still married and living there together when it's all said and done.
But someone very wise told me you don't have a crystal ball and that you should just let things play out the way they're meant to play out. So that's what Catherine Hover would tell me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
this is true.
I mean, it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
going to work out, and you were meant to buy that house. And
Yeah. So it's 26 acres, and it's a earth-sheltered home. So it's like built into the ridgeline of the property.
Wow.
Half of the land is wetlands, which is sort of comical because Mark and I are both from New Orleans, which is like the swamp.
It's meant to be.
And we
You're
moved
swamp
to
people.
upstate New York and found a swamp to move to. So that's kind of funny. And yeah, the house needs to be completely updated. It was built in 1979 by this amazing couple. I did the thing you're not supposed to do. And I'm sure Helen will share this on her podcast because like I took it upon myself to contact the owner of this house just to be like, yo, lady, we want this fucking house. Don't you go giving it to anybody else. Don't you go relisting
Helen
it.
would not like that.
I know. She was like, listen, you can't contact the seller. And I'm like, oh, I guess I can. So I did. I found her on Facebook. I messaged her directly.
How did she
and
respond?
She loved it. She was like, I'm so excited. And I just, it was stressful for both sides of the story here because she, this is her retirement. Her husband had passed away months before. She listed the house. She moved to a retirement home. Like she needed this money for retirement and to like live out the rest of her life. And she it was very stressful. I mean, we extended it a million times. We did risk her saying, you know what, no, I'm not going to extend this one more time for you to get your financing in order. And we went through 3 different banks because the first 2 banks wouldn't lend to us based on the property, not necessarily us, but the property.
Because it's so different.
So different.
Right.
Like so different.
But you know what? It's funny how maybe it's like a real estate no-no to reach out to somebody, but maybe for this one person who maybe she had such an emotional attachment to this home because she created it and because her husband had passed away, maybe knowing that you are going to include her in the continuation of this home's life felt right and felt good for her.
Yeah, well, I just needed to make sure that story was being told to her, and I wasn't confident, not because of Helen, but just the nature of the whole situation. Like, who's going to be the best advocate for us? That's going to be me. I mean, she might have made the first contact because she might have commented on a picture or something. Because we also did that. We sent her pictures of us. We sent her a heartfelt letter that just said we really would appreciate you considering us to buy this property. Like early on, we did all that stuff.
That's crazy that happens now. That's like adopting a child.
That's like that's been going on in Saratoga for years. You've always had to put a letter with the owner unless you knew the owner.
Yeah.
Like we bought
but with the pictures and everything of yourself. And
of course. Yeah. You got to let everybody know, like, what's up. Yeah. And I mean, that didn't work for 3 of the times. And, of course, it all works out. Like, I think back to, I've told Mark this too, like, oh my God, imagine if we would have bought that other house, that
it wasn't meant to be.
Right. We were so in love with this other house and we were so heartbroken when we didn't get chosen. And, so yeah, it all works out. We got this place. And even but also the realization of after you buy the house and you're like, oh my God, what have we done?
There's so much to do.
We've just bought 26 acres of land. The whole process of renovating a house is not easy. And
it's not for the faint of heart.
I've heard so many horror stories of contractors leaving projects after, doing bad demo.
That's a segment on our show is real estate horror stories.
It's very nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
So we're grateful. We're working with an amazing construction company, but my dad's a contractor. He builds custom homes in New Orleans. So a lot of this is wait a minute, I really want to be engaged and I want to do a lot of this stuff or be right there with them doing it. And so it's like I'm like a ball of anxiety in places where I've never experienced before because I'm just I am a control freak. And I want things to go. I'm confident that I can manage things to my own expectations, but when there are other people involved who don't know who they're working with, I just I'm a little
I feel like we all get
crazy.
Like that though, right? We all know it feels good. It makes you feel better when you feel like you're in control. But when you're not, that's when things get scary.
That's the other thing. I'm reminding him, we have gone through the shit already. So we're about to put ourselves through that again. We got to have our stuff together so we don't kill each other before we move into the forever house.
No, I was going to say, do you have a bedazzled construction hat, hard hat? I wore this suit for you. I hope you know. I walked out wearing this and my husband was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm going on Catherine Hover's podcast. This looks very Catherine Hover.
It is. I'm going to borrow it.
And you're in a sweatshirt.
I know.
So
Well,
I'm
I'm not in just any sweatshirt. This is the Saratoga Club. Have you heard about the Saratoga Club yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. When's the podcast is launching in May?
The podcast is launching in May. I'm really excited about it. We do already have a social media, Selling Saratoga Podcast on Instagram. So we'll definitely post any update on there on when it's going to be launched. The trailer's already out, so just look at the Selling Saratoga Podcast Instagram. It's already on there. And then again, we're always looking for collaborators or people who want to come on the show. So message us. We'd love to hook up, connect.
Yes. Oh my God, I have so many connections for you.
If you need media coaching services, I love helping people out too.
Yes, and you're so good at it. You really are natural.
Thank you.
And
I love it.
Yeah, and you can tell you love it, and it's working for you. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait for the podcast.
I know.
And anyone who's interested in learning more about Noelle or getting in touch with her, she is on social media, LinkedIn. She's at Palette.
At Noel McLaren TV on Instagram is really the best way to reach out to me.
We've got a lot to talk about this week with Saratoga Living After Hours. I mean, the email that came in on Saturday, if you're not paying to get past the paywall where all the real juicy information is, shame on you. Get on it. They also just released an Insiders Club, which I don't know much about, but Abby's going to be here later, so I'd like to talk to her about that. So last week was a busy week. We had the Breaking Bubbles event for Double H Ranch at Franklin Square Market, which was epic. I have never seen, there's like over 200 people at Franklin Square Market. They closed the whole restaurant side and the grocery store side for this event. Former Cosmopolitan editor-in-chief was there to speak, Kate White, who I've had on my program during COVID. So that was very inspiring. And then on Thursday, we had the Shaken and Stirred event at Prime in Saratoga Springs to benefit UPH. We had a contender here on our show a couple weeks ago, Carmine DiCrescenti, and he took home the crown. He said he would, and he did. He understood the assignment. They didn't raise more than everyone else combined, but pretty close. They raised $26,985. We came in last, and it's all for a good cause, and it was a raging party. Like, I was not prepared for just how out of control people got. I mean, I was the shot girl, which of course that's what I really wanted to be when I was growing up. So I got to live that dream. But it was so much fun to see everyone just lean into the themes, lean into the excitement, to the fundraising. And I will certainly be back next year for sure. I don't live right downtown anymore, so I do have to drive into town. And that little corridor, it's like very, very busy right by Dunkin' Donuts, right by the Inn at Saratoga. And it's just a little busy, right? But what's really, really cool is there is the Sobro Conservancy celebrated the completion of phase 1 of the nonprofit's mission, and it's planting in that little, it's like almost like just a little property that has just been vacant, overgrown grass for years, as long as I can remember. They have planted 600 native pollinator-friendly plants and celebrated the arrival of a new shed, which is probably going to carry a lot of tools to keep up with this like garden. And it was just so pretty. The other day we drove by and it's just beautiful. The girls are like, what's going on here? And it draws attention. Okay, this is a big whammy. Everyone hold on to your pants. Paid parking is going into effect this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And if you're wondering how you go about doing anything having to do with paid parking, they just released the registration for residents to get a parking permit so that they can park in any public garages. It allows for free parking in city-owned garages and surface lots. This is very frustrating to me, honestly, because for something that's going to be enacted this weekend, I feel like residents should have been given a bit more heads up. My hope is that they're going to be a bit lenient for the first couple of weeks that this is being implemented. I am afraid. I am afraid for the parking attendants. Like, who's giving tickets for people who, if they're not parked where they're supposed to be? I have questions about all this. But there's a QR code on the city website. You can click through this email through Saratoga Living After Hours to register for resident parking permit. Library patrons and employees of downtown businesses will register through a different process, and that has not been released yet. So it's just like, hold on to your horses. Saratoga Living After Hours has our back. They will let us know when it is time. Another big major event that is coming up, and I am so sad that I am not going to be in attendance this year because I am a avid supporter of the Cantina Fun Run. It always falls around Posey's birthday, so we end up having a party at the Fun Run usually for her. Saratoga Paint and Sip provides all the face painting. Let me tell you, the face painting booth at the Cantina Fun Run is always organized chaos. Mothers really come for you if that line is not moving at a rapid pace. So I just have some suggestions for moms who are bringing their kids to Cantina Fun Run who want to experience all that there is to take in. Get there early. Remind yourselves, moms, that this is a family-friendly event. No elbowing and tripping children to cut lines at the face painting booth. So you can pre-register, which I also see. This is another just like insider scoop. Pre-register your kid for the Cantina Fun Run so you're not waiting in a line. Even if it rains on this event, people still show up because it is just a staple family fun event in Saratoga Springs. The Market Bar and Cafe at Franklin Square Market is officially open, so you can like reserve a seat, get your reservations. I haven't even looked at the menu, but I do know at that event that they just had, that they hosted the Breaking Bubbles event for Double H Ranch at Franklin Square Market, there was an oyster bar, which was really, really cool. Hi, Abby.
Hi, Catherine.
I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be
We
here.
have a lot to get into.
Oh my gosh, we do. I know.
I mean, we're here for the magazine to talk about the magazine. It's the Belmont is Coming issue.
It's our first ever Belmont issue. That's right. And our second to last.
Okay, so so this is an extra issue that you created for Belmont, or it's this issue is one of 4 and it has all to do with Belmont?
No, we have 6 issues a year. Normally we have all 4 seasons plus track plus holiday. So we turned our summer issue into the Belmont issue.
Oh, cool. Okay, so what can we look forward to reading?
Everything Belmont. And then in addition to that, also a bunch of SPAC stuff because in July, the ballet gets here, which is so exciting.
Yes, and when is John Legend coming too?
He'll be here in August, so he will be in the next issue.
Okay, fine. Okay, so tell me about this cover girl, Jenna Antonucci.
I was so pumped that she was, going to be on our cover. Jenna won the Belmont last year, and she was the first ever woman to win any Triple Crown race. She's the trainer, first ever trainer to win a Triple Crown race. So coming back to Saratoga, this time she gets to watch the Belmont. Women everywhere obviously admire her. She's also very great with kids and getting that next generation into horse racing. So we're going to do a magazine signing with her the Wednesday before Belmont.
Oh, fun. So where's this event going to be?
At Putnam Place.
Okay.
Yep. West Avenue is doing the food and adult beverages and stuff for the kids to do.
So kid-friendly event, the Wednesday
Yes.
before Belmont starting. That's got to be the 6th, right?
That's right. So we're doing it from 4 to 6. So you can come at 4 with the littles if you want to leave before the crowds come for the concert that starts at 6. Older kids, families, or just adults can walk right on downtown. So Putnam Place is downtown. So we'll finish our party in time for everyone to walk to the block party.
Gotcha. Okay.
Find Saratoga Living on Eventbrite. We've got our tickets up both for the Jenna event and then our all ages watch party. Same venue, same food on Saturday. This is sort of a preview for it. Also on SaratogaLiving.com.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so what else is in this magazine that I think our readers would be most excited to read?
It's really all things Belmont, except for SPAC and the Ballet, which is my personal favorite. Brian Bouillet, excellent historian at the Racing Museum, wrote a great piece about the Belmont. All those little fun facts that you probably don't know, he put them into a great story in Sideweather. It's just absolutely amazing. We also talked to Greg Montgomery about his Belmont poster. Very interesting because the way he works is he uses the previous year's race to, he takes elements from that for his poster. There's never been a Belmont Saratoga. So it was a challenge for him, and it was really interesting to speak with him.
Is the poster in the magazine?
Yes, the poster is in the magazine, and you can already buy it in town at Impressions, and I think the Racing Museum as well.
So you need to go get your hands on this magazine. Lots
Yes.
of fun stories inside. Tell us more about the SPAC piece of it.
The timing of this issue, we covered the Jazz Festival and New York City Ballet. New York City Ballet is celebrating 75 years, so it's a super special season for them, and they brought some of those really special pieces up here for us, and that'll be happening in July, a week earlier than normal this year, and it's going to be absolutely great. I'm so excited. I'm going to every single show.
Do you want to talk about Shaken and Certain and what a shit show it was?
Oh my gosh, are we going to debrief? I'm so excited.
In a good way, shit show.
Oh, it was insane. It was wild. And now I feel like I missed out. The next morning I got up and watched Instagram for like 2 hours. I was at our little booth kind of thing the whole night. So I didn't get to see anybody else's things. And wow, I missed a good party.
Yeah, well, you texted us the next day and you're like, oh my God, how did I miss all these things? I must have done a pretty decent job of capturing everything. I really took my role as the shot girl very seriously.
Yeah, I bought a shot from you.
Yes, you did. Well, I didn't do it to you what I did to Matt DiCrescenti.
Oh, tell me.
I just like pretended I was like a shot girl at Carlos and Charlie's in Cancun. You know, they make you do all the crazy things. Like they shake your head and they actually make you take the shot and then they ask you for money. If you don't want the shot, fine, give me $20 and take the shot and make somebody else take it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just put this in your pocket for later.
Oh, yeah, I made you guys take it.
It was my first one. It was my first one participating and my first one attending that event. So I didn't really know what to expect, but wow. I used to think the flower and fruit mission luncheon was like the kickoff to summer, but no, I think it's chicken and stirred. Is it always that week? Like, is it always like around this time of the year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our first time, I had no idea what to expect. I still don't know because, like I said, I was stuck at my booth the whole time. Right after we each did our entrances, you guys came off the stage, and I was literally your first person too. So I got you like hot off the press.
Well, the other thing that I don't think was a good strategy on our part, and I don't think we had anything to do with this, but we were the first to go on.
We begged and begged and begged and begged because I knew we were going to be with you to have us a second, and they would not do it. We got outvoted, and my coach also tried really hard. Going first was rough. There was hardly anyone there.
I know there was hardly anyone there. Everyone that was there were other teams.
100%. And it's also tough to get pumped up. We came out of this entrance and look around, and our theme was paparazzi. The only people we saw were other people with cameras.
Well, also, I was the only one of my team left at the end when they gave out the awards.
Oh.
So we got Best Bartender Award.
Oh my God, amazing.
But we raised the least amount of money.
Yeah.
So DiCrescenti won. They raised like $27,000, and they really do deserve to win because they, I think, brought
100%.
their A game, and there was like so many ways in which you could give them money.
100%. And they were such a class act. They got their group picture taken at our booth. They donated, some money, obviously. So DiCrescenti and Bonaccio, those are the two teams that have board members on them. Their heart and soul are in it. Like you said, they deserve to win.
Okay, tell us about this Saratoga Insider thing. Like, what is the difference between that, the magazine, after hours? Just like clarify everything.
We are so excited about our new Insiders Club. As you know, but other people might not know, the editorial team, the full-time team is Natalie and Abby, two people. And we can't always be everywhere at once. We can't always know all the hot things that are happening. So we got a little founding members crew going very early on, kind of in secret. Almost every single one of them have been in some after hours or the print magazine story. And we realized that not only do we need a focus group to talk about it and brainstorm, but why not open it up? We have this great group of people. You can still sign up. It's $20 a month. Every single month, you get some kind of perk. The first month, it was Bocage. You got half off of their $75 flight, or I think there was another one that was like $30. And then we're doing little events. We have one tonight at Complexions out on the patio. It's a beautiful sunny day. Have a drink, a mocktail or some bubbly, and just talk with everybody and hang out, for an hour, pitching your stuff and hanging out and kind of being one of our insiders.
Oh, I love this. So how long do people have to join?
We're going to cap it at a certain number. So it's just whenever we reach that number. And, we talked about Shaken and Stirred, for example. The teams at that event were 10 people. We don't even have 10 people at our company. So we actually, recruited some insiders. It was really fun.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I love Saratoga Living and I love you. So I want to do it.
Oh my gosh, do it.
I just don't know if I can commit to all the things.
A lot of the people we know, or they're on our Instagram, they can DM us, but just the fact that they're a member and they're getting emails directly from us, it's very easy to respond with an idea or a story pitch or something like that. And so just being a member does, kind of open that door a little bit. Maybe you don't have time to come to our events, but maybe you're taking someone to Bocage and you can get that 50% off last month, or, you do need a break before track season. And oh my gosh, I can go sit in the steam room for half off this month because I'm an insider. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
Yeah. And then what about is there an opportunity to be in the magazine, featured in the magazine? Maybe if there's a photo that you took that you want to be published?
We would, absolutely. For example, we have that one page TBT that's a vintage photo. Someone had something. We absolutely would consider that over something that we found ourselves.
Fun. I love this. Okay, but so the very most important thing that people need to know is to RSVP or buy a ticket for the book signing.
Yeah, for the magazine signing, and then our all ages watch party. Both events are all ages, family friendly, but also great for adults. The magazine signing goes right into the concert downtown, and Saturday will be the watch party.
Awesome.
Thank
Town's
you.
going to be a buzzin'.
Oh yes, oh my gosh, we have a busy few weeks ahead of us.
We do. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And if you want to connect with me, slide into my DMs on Instagram. My handle is Catherine Hover.